Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Unnatural Selection, the show where we combine both film and problems of the real world. Sometimes they can be related, sometimes not. Today's movie of the day is, as you can see behind me, the wonderful, wonderful Ridley Scott film, American Gangster. Very good. I recommend everyone checking this out. Now, today I want to talk about a very broad topic, that there are quite a number of opinions, ranges of opinions on this, and this is going to be one side of an opinion, and that is the idea of being alone or loneliness. Now, I'm here to argue that it is never a good thing to be alone for any extended period of time. Loneliness on itself is certainly very capable of messing with someone. Now, the reason that I say that is because there is a famous sort of, not quote, but statement in which isolation fosters depression. In other words, if you are alone, you will begin to feel an overwhelming sense of depression. I think this is a huge gateway into people being depressed in the first place. And as we all know, depression is certainly something that we want to kick to the ground as soon as possible. Not completely, because it is my belief that will never completely go away. There will be moments, bouts, of depression that you will feel in your life. But the more we can minimize that, the better off I think everyone will be. Now, I understand completely that there are many people out there who believe that being alone is perfectly fine, they're perfectly healthy, they're perfectly happy. And I applaud them. Certainly there are many, many people on this earth and on this planet, and I'm sure a good portion of them have no problem being alone or dealing with loneliness. But I'd like to point out, in the case of some people that everyone will know, it might be sort of a unreachable persona. One of the most famous ones is Mr. Keanu Reeves. We talk about being alone and how it's perfectly fine and wonderful. He takes himself out to dinner, buys himself gifts. There's nothing wrong. Once you accept being on your own, you can take care of yourself in a much better manner. Now, although I do agree with that statement as a whole, I'd also like to point out that Mr. Reeves is a very famous Hollywood actor and certainly doesn't have any of the roadblocks that many other people come into contact with. For example, if he was a warehouse worker or a mailroom clerk making $15 an hour, I don't know if his statement would mean or be quite the same thing. He certainly makes, no doubt, a good salary as an actor. He's been famous for a long time, and he's constantly busy, traveling. He has people setting up all of his appointments, meetings, bookings, everything. So he's not without stuff to keep him busy. So yes, for someone like him, being alone is perfectly fine. But for other people who don't have that luxury currently, I don't know if they feel quite the same way. Now, I will say that I have learned that the people who find themselves in that position, more often than not, have said that the way to deal with it is to keep a very strict schedule. As long as you know what you're doing over the course of the day, you should be able to get through it pretty easily. And then the more time goes on, you have to think about things less and less. Your mind doesn't overanalyze or overthink things as much, and I think you become accepting. I think acceptance is key, just like any other, program along the same lines. Now, that being said, I do have to admit that I have a very, very tangible quote from myself, actually, that I believe wholeheartedly, and I hope everyone takes it to heart as well. And that is, having alone time is magnificent, wonderful. We all need that alone time. We all need time to ourselves. That's not what I'm getting at. Certainly, men and women, or just friends in general, family, any type of couple that you can think of, certainly need time to themselves, for themselves. It's perfectly normal, it's perfectly natural, but being alone is what sucks. So there is a difference between the two, and I want to make sure that that's very clear. I also think it leads to quite a number of downfalls in relationships, because the more you rely on someone else, I think that can also be a burden as well. Or you can be surrounded by hundreds of millions of people for your entire life and still feel like the loneliest person in the world. I think loneliness also has to do with your state of mind, and the more alone time you have, the more lonely you are, the more that starts to affect what goes on up here. This is the most important thing. If this isn't right, everything else will crumble and fall. One of the, in my opinion, one of the most famous cases is Mr. Robin Williams. One of the most beloved and talented actors of our time. Sadly, how he passed away was certainly not what we would ever want for anyone in this life. And, he, I'm sure, had many people around him who loved him, cared for him, and came into his life. So, I urge people to sort of, this is what life is about, is establishing connections, relationships, friendships, as many as possible, and having a big, full life. You can't do that if you're alone. So I encourage people to enjoy the time that they have with the people that they love, and people that come into their lives, because if there's one thing in this life that I truly believe is the purpose, it's that you create your own purpose. And however that happens is completely up to you. You can do anything you like to create that purpose. Create it, and have as many people around you as you can. Now, that being said, as you know, on this show, we like to open the discussion to everyone's thoughts and opinions. I want to hear all of them. I want to hear every rebuttal. I want to hear every reply. I want to hear everyone's opinion. Because as we all know, I don't claim to know more than I can. And I hope no one else would as well. So I'm happy to listen, to hear what everyone has to say, to hear your arguments, and to respond when appropriate. So this is the part of the show where I open it up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Give me your replies, give me your rebuttals, give me anything you want on the subject, give me your opinions. I'm happy to read them, and let's see if we can reach some common ground. That about wraps it up for this episode of Unnatural Selections. I thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'm your host, Alfred Warner. Good night. Stay safe.